Welcome back to the Gambling Chef Kitchen. I am so excited about today's recipe because we're gonna make Dutch Baby. And believe it or not, I grew up eating this. It's like a giant cross between a souffle and a pancake. If you've ever had Yorkshire pudding, it's almost like a big one of those. And you can make it either savory or sweet. We're gonna do the sweet version today, but I will tell you how to make the savory version. It's really easy, has a minimal number of ingredients, and it's really fun because it poofs up in the oven, so you're gonna be surprised. Let's get started making our Dutch Baby. So this recipe all starts, believe it or not, with a pan. So this is a 3.5 quart heavy saucepan, and this is going to go into my oven, and then I'm gonna turn the oven on to 425 degrees. So this is actually gonna be heating up while our oven is heating up, and that is very important. So that is step one. Step two is making the batter. I will be right back to show you how to do that. Okay, I have 1 cup of flour and 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt, and I'm gonna just sift it over a bowl. And it's important to sift your ingredients when you're making anything like this, or like a crepe batter, which essentially this is a thick crepe batter. To sift your ingredients because you never know like what kind of stuff's gonna be in there. This one I know for a fact that my kosher salt, I have coarse kosher salt, so my salt is gonna get a little trapped in the bottom here of my sieve, which is totally fine. I can push that through, no problem. If you have finer salt, then you won't have to worry about this, but for some reason, I seem to only be able to get coarse kosher salt at my grocery store, which is a little bit annoying. And I'm actually just gonna dump the rest of that in there because it's gonna dissolve. And now we have our wet ingredients. So that's it for the dry, just a cup of flour, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. This is 1 cup of room temperature milk and 4 eggs, room temperature also. It's important to use room temperature ingredients for things like this because it will help it rise a little bit better. If you don't have time and you have to do it straight out of the fridge, of course I'm making a giant mess, then that's totally fine also. So don't fret about that. And there's a reason I'm gonna mix it in this big measuring cup because I'm actually gonna pour the batter back in here. When we are gonna pour it into our saucepan, it makes it a lot easier to pour in there. So you don't need to whisk this to death. You just wanna make sure eggs are well incorporated with your milk. And I think they're fine. It's not, again, we're not doing rocket science here. Okay, then we're just gonna combine the dry and the wet ingredients. Simple, right? So I'm gonna do that over here on the side. I'm just gonna start slowly pouring a little bit of the ingredients in here. And we are gonna strain this after we're done. So if you have some lumps, it's not the end of the world, but we don't want like a massive amount of lumps if we can avoid it. So the best way to do that is to not dump all of your wet ingredients in too quickly. Put a little bit more. I'm gonna set that down. And then I'm just gonna give this a good mix. We don't wanna mix this to death again. The more you mix this, the tougher it's gonna get. And we do not want a tough Dutch Baby. So you can see I have a couple lumps in there, but again, we're gonna strain this, so it's totally fine. Rest of the wet ingredients are going in. And we're gonna stir that together. Now you can do this in a blender. My mom has traditionally done this in a blender and that is totally fine. But when I was experimenting, I'm lazy and I don't like to clean my blender out all the time if I don't have to. So I thought I would try doing it by hand because I've made a lot of crepe batter by hand. The restaurant I used to work at, we made crepes all the time. And so it worked great. So that's about all we're gonna wanna mix the batter. And then I'm gonna actually strain it back over that measuring cup. And I see I have a couple eggshells in there, so this is a good thing that we're straining it anyway. So I'm gonna slide that same measuring cup that I had my milk and my eggs in, and now you can see why I did that. I'm gonna put our same sieve right here on the top, or strainer, whatever you wanna call it. And then I'm just gonna pour this back through the strainer that we used. Set that over your bowl. You can scrape out, one of the things I like to do is use my whisk that I'm going to use anyway and just scrape out any little particles from the bowl. You can also use a spatula, but then you're getting something else dirty, which I'm trying to avoid. So this is just going to get pushed through the sieve, and then we will have a perfectly smooth Dutch baby batter. It's a pretty fine meshed sieve, so if some of it gets clogged, you'll see me like turn it a little bit, but we're almost there. And again, I actually had some eggshells in my milk mixture, which I didn't see. And this will get all of that kind of stuff out of there. So, and I think we are good. So I am gonna wash this out, and we're gonna wait for the oven to finish preheating. And I will show you how to get this going. We're almost there, it's that easy. So our Dutch baby batter is resting. My oven beeped, it's done preheating, but the next thing I'm going to do is to put this, which is 3 tablespoons of salted butter. You can use salted or unsalted for this. I prefer salted because it has more flavor for what we're gonna be doing. This is gonna go into the pan that's in the oven that has been in there preheating with it. And we are going to watch the butter from the outside of the oven. We're gonna watch it melt until it starts to brown, and then our batter is gonna go in. But I'm going to show you what that looks like, so don't worry. I'm gonna pop this in our pan, and next time you see me, we're gonna be adding the batter to the pan. Very exciting and so easy, right? This is a maximum effect, minimum effort kind of recipe. See you in a second. All right, our butter is just beginning to brown, which you can see, and I am going to take this pan out and I am gonna pour our batter into it very carefully. Trying not to burn myself. Gotta do it quick, don't linger. You can also take the pan out of the oven and do that. And then I am going to close the oven, and then this is going to bake for 20 to 25 minutes, and you will not believe what it looks like. While our Dutch baby is baking, I just want to make sure that you're prepared for it to come out of the oven. So if you're serving this for guests, you want to have your cooling rack or trivet on your table because you want to bring this out. It's a real wow kind of a thing when it comes out of the oven. And then if you're going to serve a sweet version with fruit salad, then you're going to want to have a sieve ready with your powdered sugar and your cinnamon shaker. Or if you're doing a savory version, you could crack some pepper over the top and sprinkle some Parmesan cheese. So just make sure that you have all that stuff ready. And I will see you when our incredible Dutch baby gets out of the oven. Can't wait. Okay, look at this gloriousness. It is puffy, it is beautiful. This is exactly why you want to bring it to the table right away. It is like a souffle. It's going to start to deflate. I'm going to do a little bit of powdered sugar on the top here and some cinnamon I mixed in with the powdered sugar. That's if you're doing the savory version. It's basically, we're looking at a giant Yorkshire pudding, and you're going to wait till this deflates a little bit and serve it to your guests. And it's going to be absolutely amazing. It will blow their minds, I promise. I love it. It is just so gorgeous and delicious too. So we do have to let this cool off a little bit before we serve it. You can see it's still depuffing. I paused for a second so I could take a couple of pictures, but this is going to be so amazing. I will see you back in just a minute and we are going to taste. All right, I am going to taste. I cut a piece for myself and it is very tender, so you can definitely cut it with just a fork. So for me, this is an incredibly nostalgic dish. My mom made this for us all the time when I was growing up, always served it with fruit salad. And I love this recipe. It reminds me of home. It's fun, it's exciting, it's delicious, and it's easy. So please give this a try. Be sure to check out my website, thegamblingchef.com. That is where all of my recipes are. And also be sure to subscribe to me on YouTube and follow me on Facebook, and I'm also on Instagram, and I will see you guys soon.